And so I'm now joined by Rob Pellow, who is our Global Head of Digital Design. Rob, again, another awesome presentation from you. So you spoke about the role of design in email. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Sure. There's quite a few roles of design in all user experience, and email is just another type of user experience. But primarily in email, there's some really key things that it needs to get across to people, and that is it needs to uphold the trust. That's either the trust that people pick up from the subject line or because of their past interactions with your brand. So as soon as they open email, they need to feel like you've earned that trust and that you've delivered on it. Secondly, you need to think about the wider journey. So emails don't exist in isolation. They're going to get that email and nearly always move on to somewhere else. And if not, then they've come from somewhere else in order to get that email. So you need to make sure that what you're doing is consistent with that journey, both sides. And then finally, you need to do everything you can to support the engagement of the content and make sure that the content is given every chance to get into people's faces. People often read their emails with a single goal of just having no unread emails. So it's about creating that little noise of surprise rather than like a shock and awe that just pauses them and interrupts their behaviour a little bit, and it gives the content chance to breathe a little bit and gets it into their heads.
Okay, and you just mentioned consistency. Consistency was kind of one of your big points of your presentation. Can you talk to us a little bit more about that and why being consistent is so important?
Sure. So one of the things that people tend to think they need to do is to change up how they do their email marketing and how that looks from week to week, which isn't something you do in any other digital channel. No one sits down at the beginning of the week and has a think about what they want their website to look like that week. So you shouldn't do that with your emails either. And it's one of the things that we help people to understand when we're working with them. And one of the reasons why we use lots of touch points when we're trying to work out how we're going to deliver a suite of templates or campaigns to them is to look at how people learn their visual language. So what does a primary call to action button look like versus a secondary call to action? What sort of fonts do they use? All of that stuff, just to make sure that people understand what's expected of them when they're looking at those emails. And one of the ways that we do that is to build those templates so that they haven't got to start from scratch every week, having that thought process of how am I going to make my stuff consistent? What are the things I need to think about each time?
Okay, so templates do sound great, but, I mean, do they ruin kind of the heart and soul of a designer's creativity?
No, although a lot of designers do think that, and I have a lot of conversations with designers where I say, hey, you should use templates, they'll make your life loads easier. And they say, oh, actually, our stuff's unique and bespoke and precious, and you couldn't possibly template it, which is cool, but when we sit down and talk to them, and we look at what they've been doing for the last year, actually there's a lot more overlap than they think in everything that they've done. And so I come back to them with a question of, well, if we did template it and we gave you all of this time back, you're spending all of this resource and energy per campaign, what would you have time to do? And that's the really cool thing for them. And then for everyone else, it gives them the knowledge that they've got templates that work, that build on their brand guidelines, build on the things that they know work with their users, and give the marketers a ton of tools that they can choose to use depending on what the job is they need it to do. And for the designers, rather than removing their creativity, it focuses it. So you've now got like a jigsaw of holes that you can fill. What are you going to fill it with? What's the opportunity here? And where are you going to move the content round within those guidelines in order to get the best out of it?
Perfect. Rob, thank you.